Every time I go and make a trip to the grocery store, I am constantly reminded that nobody can really afford anything anymore. I went to the grocery store and bought just a few items, and it ended up being over $50, and it makes this constant reminder in my mind just how insane that actually is. Another example of this is I tried to buy just a tub of protein powder, and it was just a normal tub of protein powder. It had roughly 20 servings, and it would be 10 if you double scoop, which is what I usually do. So I would get through this tub in 10 days. And they are charging $50 for these tubs of protein. Sometimes they're upwards of $60. And I just think that's absolutely insane. So it's becoming harder and harder to just be able to afford the daily life necessities that keeps us going. And it really doesn't help that a lot of these life necessities are being turned into these subscription-based products, and are unable to actually be owned. Less and less things are actually able to be owned. And obviously that doesn't do anything good for you in the long run. You're going to be more in a financial disadvantage through paying subscriptions for any basic necessities over a long period of time, as opposed to, paying that high one-time payment to actually own it. And so, I've already made a video on subscriptions and how that's becoming a bigger issue over time, and how, more and more things that people use, even beyond just hobbies, that are becoming subscription based, and things that you can't really own anymore. And I think the most prevalent thing with that is in gaming. There was something released from PlayStation recently that was talking about how if you're not properly connected to the internet, and you're relying on online games, if you're not connected to the internet whatsoever and your games are digital, then you do not have access to those games anymore, because at this point you're only purchasing the license agreement to be able to view that game, and they can take those away whenever you want. You are not buying the game, you are not owning the game, you are borrowing it. And so this is becoming a common theme throughout multiple facets of life, but I don't want to dig too deep into that again. Yeah, more daily life necessities being turned into subscriptions. Daily necessities also becoming extremely more expensive over time. Groceries, healthcare, etc. The housing market never gets any better. The idea of being stuck in a long-term mortgage kind of terrifies me. And I feel like it should scare more people. Being tied to a 30-year mortgage, and spending almost your entire adult life working towards being able to finally pay that off and actually be able to own a small piece of real estate, it just feels extremely limiting and uninspiring. It's not super motivating. It's not something to really look forward to, and honestly, I wouldn't feel super accomplished to have to work my butt off my entire life just to be able to own one house. And maybe that will satiate a lot of people, but in my eyes, in the grand scheme of things, looking at the bigger picture, if you incorporate all the places that you can go in the world, traveling, and what's out there, different cultures, and just thinking about all the opportunities you can have in this lifetime, limiting yourself to a mortgage and being stuck in a mortgage and having that limit you financially and keeping you stuck is kind of a scary thought. And obviously, on top of that, over time, everything's becoming more expensive and no one is getting paid more. Everyone is being paid the same wages, and people are forced to still try to live within their means while these salaries and wages are staying the same and everything else is going up in price, and it's harder than ever to maintain but also attempt to scale. So yeah, this is kind of more of a rant than anything, but every single time I'm going out and making a purchase, I'm dreading making certain purchases, like whether it's, trying to find new shoes or trying to get new clothes, or, I gotta buy new appliances. Like, it's always becoming like these dreadful thoughts of like, oh, eventually I have to put some money down to pay for these things because, everything is becoming more and more expensive. And so it becomes more financially stressful. So I can only imagine how many people are feeling the same way with that. And so, yeah, I just want to talk about this because in today's day and age, it's harder than ever for people growing up, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, to be able to live up to these financial standards and be able to build up to that as they're growing up and moving out of the house and moving into their adult life. And going the college route isn't going to help that at all either. It's only going to set you back. And so it's like, what do you do? What is the route to take? What is the best way to feel financially free, to feel stress-free, without, working multiple jobs, working 6 days a week, So yeah, some interesting times that we are in, doing whatever we can to make ends meet. So yeah. Let me know your thoughts on this. That's all for now.